Invocation करते हैं. To the Supreme God, to the great Divine Father and the great Divine Mother, thank you for your priceless blessings, for your divine light, divine love, divine power, divine healing, guidance, mercy, help, and protection. Thank you. To our great spiritual teacher, to all the great spiritual teachers, to all the great gods and goddesses, to all the great ones, we very, very humbly thank you for your great blessings. We thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. All right. So, अब जो है हम लास्ट टाइम एक चैप्टर पे आने वाले थे, उसका नाम है द ग्रेस ऑफ मास्टर. देखिए, ये चैप्टर्स जो होते हैं ना, इन जनरल बहुत पावरफुल चीज़ें इंस्पायर करते हैं एक्चुअली. एंड उसके पहले हमने एक ये सोमरी बाबा के बारे में पढ़ा था, जो कि मतलब बहुत ही पावरफुल टीचर थे एक टाइम के. आई थिंक 1800s के या अर्ली 1900s के. एंड यू नो वेरी वेरी ग्रेट गुरु. उनके डिसाइपल्स जो थे उनके बारे में बताया जा रहा था यहाँ पे. सो you know like somebody was a direct disciple of Somari Baba, and anyways, let's go forward. ठीक है. Chapter number 12, Grace of the Master. Perfection is the goal of human life, but human efforts are very limited. Happiness does not come merely through human endeavor, but comes through grace. See, happiness does not come merely through human endeavor, but comes through grace. Blessed are those who have the grace of both God and Master. Guru is a stream and a channel of knowledge. The word guru is so misused. See, a guru is a stream and a channel of knowledge. Not knowledge which is देखिए, नॉलेज ना अलग अलग चक्रस पे अलग अलग लेवल की होती है. एक जिसको बोलते हैं नॉलेज एट द लेवल ऑफ थ्रोट चक्र के लेवल पे जो नॉलेज होती है वो. फिर उसके ऊपर आग्नेय चक्र के लेवल पे एक होती है, फिर एक फोरहेड के लेवल पे, फिर एक क्राउन के लेवल पे होती है. ऐसे अलग अलग चक्र में अलग अलग लेवल ऑफ नॉलेज होती है. नॉलेज बोलते हैं, अंडरस्टैंडिंग बोलते हैं, विजडम बोलते हैं, कंपैशन बोलते हैं, राइट. सो गुरु से जो जिस तरह की जो 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 नॉलेज मिलती है वो कंपैशन या मतलब विजडम एंड कंपैशन लेवल की होती है, जो कि स्पिरिचुअल नॉलेज होती है, जो मतलब आत्मज्ञान की जो नॉलेज होती है उसकी बात वहां पे की जा रही है, आत्मज्ञान की. सो it says ki the guru is a stream and a channel of knowledge, the highest possible knowledge. The word guru is so misused that I feel hurt sometimes. It is such a noble word, such a wonderful word. After your mother has given birth to you and your parents have raised you, then the role of the guru begins. And he helps you fulfill the purpose of your life. Even if I'm a very bad man and somebody calls me guru, I have to become the best for the sake of the person who expects it of me. A guru is different from a teacher. Guru is compound of two words, gu and ru. Gu means darkness, ru means light. That which dispels the darkness of ignorance is called a guru. Right? Do you understand this, right? Gu and ru. Gu का मतलब होता है the darkness. रू या इजिप्शियन में बोलते हैं रा, उसका मतलब होता है लाइट. तो इसको मतलब होता है कि द डिस्पेलर ऑफ डार्कनेस, उसको बोलते हैं गुरु. इन द वेस्ट द वर्ड गुरु इज ऑफन मिसयूज्ड. इन इंडिया दिस वर्ड इज वेरी यूज्ड. This word is used with reverence and is always associated with holiness and highest wisdom. It is very sacred word. It is seldom used by itself, but always with its suffix deva, which means Guru Deva bolte hai na. Deva means bright being. An enlightened master or guru is called Guru Deva. There is vast difference between an ordinary teacher and a spiritual master. All followers of a guru, whatever their age, if they are 80 years old, are like children to him. He will feed them, give them shelter, and then teach them without expecting anything in return. I asked my master, why does he do this? He said, he has no other desires but teaching those aspirants who are prepared. If he doesn't do this, what shall he do? So ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है, पता है जब आप एक पाथ पे काफी आगे पहुंच जाते हो ना, when you become sufficiently enlightened, no, उसके बाद क्या होता है कि he says कि ना all the followers of a guru, whatever their age, even if they're 80 years old, are like children to him. He will feed them, give them shelter, and then teach them without expecting anything in return. अभी हम जब गुरुद्वारों का चक्कर मार के आए थे ना अमृतसर में और अलग अलग जगहों पे, आई रियलाइज कि एग्जैक्टली सेम चीज वहां पे हो रही है. इफ यू एवर गॉन टू गुरुद्वारा, शो यू समथिंग वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग टू यू. देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड निशान साहिब. आई विल शो द इमेजेस टू यू, आपको मालूम हो जाएगा. जब भी आप किसी भी गुरुद्वारे में जाएंगे तो वहां पे ये इस तरह का एक मतलब एक बहुत ही टॉल सा स्ट्रक्चर होता है इस तरीके का. ये इस तरीके का होता है, ठीक है. और हर गुरुद्वारे में होता है. ऊपर से देखने में मतलब पास से ऐसा लगता है उसको देखने में ना, या इस तरह का लगता है देखने में, ठीक है. ये गोल्डन टेम्पल में है, ये दो दो है मतलब साइड साइड में ना, इस तरह के स्ट्रक्चर होते हैं, ठीक है. और नहीं इनको बोलते हैं निशान साहिब. अच्छा, निशान साहब जो हैं अभी तो आजकल तो चलो मतलब गूगल है वगैरह, ठीक है. एक टाइम पे क्या होता था कि निशान साहब जो है, जब बिल्डिंग्स उतनी ऊंची नहीं होती थी, तो मैं बात कर रहा हूँ 1600 1700 की, मतलब बहुत बहुत पुरानी बात कर रहा हूँ, 1800 की बात भी कर रहा हूँ. तो जब भी कोई भी कहीं भी जाता था तो उसको देख के मालूम होता था कि वहां पे गुरुद्वारा है, सिखों का गुरुद्वारा है. वहां पे आपको फूड, शेल्टर और टीचिंग, तीनों की तीनों चीजें मिलेंगी. लंगर, एंड यू कैन बुक अ रूम फॉर ऑलमोस्ट वेरी वेरी लेस प्राइस, ऑलमोस्ट नेग्लिजिबल. एंड टीचिंग, बिकॉज वहाँ पे कीर्तन होता है, गुरबानी होती है, राइट. सो द थ्री थिंग्स यू विल गेट ओवर देयर, मतलब फूड फॉर द बॉडी, शेल्टर एंड फूड फॉर द सोल. ऑल ऑफ दीज थिंग्स. बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग कॉन्सेप्ट एक्चुअली. इसलिए इसको इतना टॉल बनाया गया है कि पीपल कैन रिकॉग्नाइज इट फ्रॉम फार अवे. इफ यू थिंक अबाउट, तो आपको लगा कि हाँ, दिस इज एक्चुअली गुड एंड टू सर्टेन डिग्री एक्यूरेट ऑल्सो. इसके और भी मेरे मेरे ख्याल में पर्पसेस हैं ऑनेस्टली. बट वो थोड़े से ज्यादा इस तरह मतलब हो जाते हैं उनको बताना. बट अदरवाइज दिस इज हाउ इट इज. सो ही सेज कि ना, ही विल फीड देम, गिव देम शेल्टर एंड देन टीच देम विदाउट एक्सपेक्टिंग एनीथिंग इन रिटर्न. आई आस्क्ड माय मास्टर, मंदिर में भी होता है, हाँ एग्जैक्टली, मंदिर में भी होता है. आई आस्क्ड माय मास्टर, व्हाई डज ही डू दिस? He said he has no other desires but teaching those aspirants who are prepared. If he doesn't do this, what shall he do? When a student goes to a guru, he takes a bundle of dry sticks with reverence and love. He bows and says, here I offer this. That indicates he is surrendering himself with all his mind, action, and speech, with a single desire to attain the highest wisdom. The guru burns those sticks and says, now I will guide you and protect you in the future. Then he initiates a student on various levels and gives him disciplines to practice. It is such a pure relationship that I don't think any other relationship is even comparable. Everything the guru has, even his body, mind, and soul, belongs to the student. But if he has any odd habits at all, they belong only to himself. मतलब है कि अगर कोई भी ऑड हैबिट्स अगर हैं किसी भी स्टूडेंट में, तो वो उसकी खुद की होती हैं, गुरु की नहीं होती हैं. द गुरु imparts a word and says, this will be an eternal friend to you. Remember this word, it will help you. That is called mantra initiation. Then he explains how to use the mantra. He removes obstacles since the student has desires and many problems. He does not know how to make decisions properly. So the Guru will teach him how to decide and how to remain peaceful and tranquil. He will say, sometimes you will have noble thoughts, but you do not bring them into action. Come on, make your mind one pointed. You are powerful and my blessing are with you. देखिए, सारे के सारे जो गुरुस हैं वो एक ही बात चाहते हैं कि आप अपने अच्छे नोबल थॉट्स को एक्शन में लेके आओ और उन्हें इम्प्लीमेंट करो एक्चुअली, राइट? कॉमन सेंस एक्चुअली। एंड उसको बोलते हैं विल टू डू गुड। सही काम करने की इच्छा जो होती है, आप उसको जब इम्प्लीमेंट करते हैं उसको बोलते हैं विल टू डू गुड। और सारे के सारे स्पिरिचुअल ट्रेनिंग जो है वो विल टू डू गुड को बिल्ड करने में ही जाती है, टू टू रीजनेबल डिग्री। आपको जितना स्ट्रांग प्यूरिफिकेशन होगा आपके कैरेक्टर का, आपका जितना मेडिटेशन की पावर होगी, जितने आपके थॉट्स में पावर होगी, वो सब के सब दिखनी चाहिए कि आप क्या काम करते हो उसमें एट द एंड, राइट? So that's very, very important. See, you try your best to do something for him, but you cannot because he doesn't need anything. Such a compassionate one spontaneously attracts your attention, for you are bewildered. You wonder, why is he doing so much for me? What does he want from me? He wants nothing, for what he is doing is his duty, the purpose of his life. If he guides you, he is not obliging you, he is doing his work. He cannot live without doing his duty. Such people are called gurus. They guide humanity. As the sun shines and lives far above, the guru gives his spiritual love and remains unattached. Guru is not a physical being. Guru is not a physical being. देखिए साफ साफ यहाँ पे भी लिखा हुआ है, गुरु खाली फिजिकल बीइंग या फिजिकल बॉडी नहीं होता है. Those who think of the guru as a body or as a man do not understand this pious word. If a guru comes to think that his power is his own, then he is a guide and no more. The guru is tradition. He is a stream of knowledge. That stream of knowledge goes through many channels. Christ also is this channel. When he healed people and they called him Lord, he says, this is because of my Father. I'm only a channel. Wow. No human being can ever become a guru, but when a human being allows himself to be used as a channel for receiving and transmitting by the powers of powers, then it happens. आई थिंक इसका मतलब ये है कि जब आप अपने आप को पूरी तरह से जाने देते हो एंड आपका बॉडी एंड माइंड एंड सोल आप ऊपरी ताकतों के लिए, मतलब बेसिकली हायर पावर्स के लिए यूज करने के लिए छोड़ देते हो, देन यू नो इट क्वाइट अ बिट ऑफ इट इज पॉसिबल. मतलब आपकी जब ईगो जो है जब पूरी तरह से चली जाती है, दैट्स प्रोबेबली व्हेन आई थिंक दिस इज पॉसिबल. And for that, a human being should learn to be selfless, like egoless, right? Selfless. Usually, love is mingled with selfishness. I need something, so say, I love you. See, कुछ चाहिए तो I love you. You need something, so you love me. This is what we call love in the world. But when you do actions selflessly in a spontaneous way, then that is really love. You don't expect any reward. Genuine gurus cannot live without selflessness. For selfless love is the very basis of their enlightenment. They radiate life and light from the unknown corners of the world. The world does not know them and they do not want recognition. Don't ever believe anyone who comes to you and demands, worship me. Even Christ and Buddha did not ask that. Never forget that Guru is not the goal. Guru is like a boat for crossing the river. See, Guru is like a boat for crossing the river. It is very important it is very important to have a good boat, and it's very dangerous to have a boat that is leaking. But after you have crossed the river, you don't need to hang on to your boat, and you certainly don't worship the boat. Many fanatics think that they should worship a guru. A guru should receive your love and respect. That is different from worship. If my guru and the Lord both come together, I will go to my guru first and say, "Thank you very much. You have introduced me to the Lord." I will not go to the Lord and say, "Thank you very much, Lord. You have given me my guru." So perfect, no? तो इस समझ में तो आ ही गया होगा कि गुरु जो होते हैं दे आर वेरी सेल्फलेस इन देयर अपील एंड नेचर, मतलब दैट इज द वेरी बेसिस जिनसे उनकी एनलाइटमेंट या सिद्धि जो है गुरुज की अवेकनिंग वाली वो सामने आती है। तो दे कांट बी सेल्फिश फॉर एनीथिंग, वो पॉसिबल भी नहीं उनके लिए एक्चुअली। उसके लिए जो है इसमें एक और बात ये बताई हुई है कि आप जो है जब आपका एनलाइटमेंट होता है, फॉर एग्जाम्पल व्हेन यू क्रॉस द अदर साइड ऑफ द रिवर, तब तो उस टाइम बोर्ड का जो पर्पस है वो सर्व हो गया होता है उस टाइम तक, कॉमन राइट। सो इसका मतलब है कि जब गुरु इज नॉट जस्ट मतलब इट्स नॉट अ वेरी क्या बोलना चाहिए, अब कबीर के पोएम पे भी आएंगे एक मिनट के लिए ना। सो बट द थिंग वाज कि द टर्म गुरु इज डिस्पेलर ऑफ डार्कनेस, एक ऐसी स्ट्रीम जो कि आपकी डार्कनेस को डिस्पेल कर देती है या कर सकती है। उसमें ना देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड एज गुरु योगा, एक जो होता है वो बोलते हैं। फिर गुरु योगा में क्या होता है कि आप अपनी और आप गुरु को यू मर्ज विद द गुरु टू एज बेस्ट ऑफ योर एबिलिटी, बेसिकली राइट। गुरु योगा में वो होता है। उसके बाद गुरु टेक्स यू टू अ हायर लेवल, दैट इज व्हाट द पर्पस ऑफ गुरु योगा एक्चुअली इज। ठीक है, आपको समझ में आया? गुरु योगा में आप यू मर्ज योर कॉन्शियसनेस विद द गुरुज कॉन्शियसनेस एज बेस्ट एज यू कैन, एंड गुरु का काम होता है फिर आपको आगे लेके जाना, उसके ऊपर नेक्स्ट लेवल पे लेके जाना। अब बहुत लोग जो हैं वो इसको ढंग से या ठीक तरीके से अभी नहीं कर पाते, कभी न कभी पक्का कर लेंगे। बट दिस इज एग्जैक्टली व्हाट द कॉन्सेप्ट इज कि यू मर्ज योर प्रॉपर कॉन्शियसनेस in deep meditation with that of your guru, and then the guru will take you forward आराम से। but गुरु का पर्पस is to take you to self realization of कि तुम्हारा सेल्फ रियलाइजेशन हो। गुरु को तुमसे कोई ऐसी प्रेजेस नहीं चाहिए या मतलब कौन, वो भी अपने काम में बिजी हैं, सब कुछ है। बट ये है कि अगर आपने हठ योगा का पिलर वन ध्यान से सीखा होगा तो उसमें था कि डिवोशन टू सुप्रीम गॉड, यानी कि वर्शिप टू सुप्रीम गॉड, एंड रेवरेंस। रेवरेंस का मतलब होता है डीप रिस्पेक्ट फॉर स्पिरिचुअल टीचर। रेवरेंस क्यों? क्योंकि गुरु ही है जो कि आपको सुप्रीम गॉड या गॉड का रास्ता दिखा सकता है। इसलिए कबीर की एक दोहा था कि गुरु गोविंद दोनों खड़े काके लागे पाए, मतलब कि मैं किसके पैर जाके लगूं अगर गॉड एंड गुरु आर स्टैंडिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ मी। फिर वो बोलते हैं कि बलिहारी गुरु आपने, गोविंद ये बताए। सो इससे कि आई एम गोना होल्ड द फीट ऑफ माय गुरु बिकॉज ही इज द वन हु शोड गॉड टू मी। तो this is exact probably, he said ki have devotion to supreme god, he is source of everything, no, and deep reverence for the teacher or the guru. So something like that actually, very interesting if you think about it. Let's go forward. ये चैप्टर था ग्रेस पे, अब आएंगे इसकी बात आगे की चीजें। अ वीपिंग स्टैचू, ये इसमें एग्जांपल आई थिंक। आई ऑफन विजिटेड उत्तर वृंदन, an ashram in the Himalayas, and did satsang with Krishna Prem, Professor Nixon, and Anand Bhikkhu, Dr. Alexander. These two Europeans, one of them whom had been a professor of English and the other a professor of medicine, were disciples of Yashodama, a female mystic from Bengal. यशोदा माँ, बंगाल से एक और पे आई थी ना, वो क्या नाम था उनका, आनंदमयी, आनंदमयी माँ, आई थिंक वो भी बंगाल की थी। A female mystic from Bengal. They lived quietly, avoiding visitors. During those days, Krishna Prem was writing two books. One was the Yoga of the Bhagavad Gita, and the other was the Yoga of Kathopanishad. They were later published in London. They had sufficient funds to meet their daily expenses, so they were not dependent on others. Their way of living was very simple, neat, and clean. They were very particular in cooking their meals, not allowing anyone to come into the kitchen. By then, Yashodama had left her body and they had built a memorial to her called Samadhi. At the top of the monument, a beautiful marble statue of Krishna had been installed. On one of my visits, shortly after the statue was installed, I noticed that Krishna Prem was wearing something on his arm. I asked him about it and he said, "You won't believe me," I said, please explain it to me. He replied, "You intellectualize everything, and I'm afraid you might think I've gone crazy. But I will tell you, 15 days ago, the statue of Krishna, which was installed on the memorial, started flowing tears. The tears dripped from the statue continuously. We dismantled the base of the statue to see if there was some source of the seeping water, but found nothing. There was no way that water could come up through the statue and flow from its eyes. When we put the statue back in place, the tears began to flow once more. This made me very sad. I decided that I must be committing some mistake in my sadhana and that Ma or Yashoda Ma was not happy with me. To keep myself ever reminded of this, I took some cotton, soaked it in tears, and put it in the locket, which I am now wearing in my arm. What I'm telling you is true. I know why this is happening. I know why this is happening. Don't tell anyone about this. They will think I've gone insane. I said, I don't doubt your integrity. Please explain to me why it occurs. He said, the Guru guides from the other side in many ways. This is an instruction to me. I have become lazy. Instead of doing my evening sadhana, I have been retiring early. It was her habit to remind us whenever we fell to the grip of sloth and missed our practice. This has to be the right explanation. He became very serious and then started to sob. His love for his guru was immense, and this inspired me. Love for guru is the first rung on the ladder to the divine. देखिए फर्स्ट रंग ऑन द लैडर है ना, और हार्टिक योगा में भी जो 5 पिलर्स हैं उसमें से सबसे पहला वाला पिलर इसी को कोरस्पॉन्ड करता है, राइट? But this love is not love of the or for the human form, right? People in India, except for the Brahmins, greatly admired these two European Swamis, Krishna Prem and his brother disciple, Anand Bhikkhu. The Brahmins did not treat them well, though they were more pure and spiritually advanced than many of the temple priests. Whenever they visited any temple, they were considered to be untouchables. I condemned those Brahmins and often would tell my two friends that out of ignorance, many people become fanatic, and fanaticism is not part of any religion. India has suffered from the caste system, just as the West has suffered from the race and class systems. Both are injurious for human society. Interesting. आपने ध्यान दिया है कि क्या नाम है, स्वामी रामा जो हैं बहुत जगहों पे गए, राइट? उन्होंने बहुत सारे एक्सपीरियंसेस को लिखा है इसमें। उनका ना बहुत जगहों पे ऑब्जर्वेशन रहा है, मतलब उन्होंने अपने अपने बहुत कुछ सीखा है लोगों से, ऑब्जर्वेशन शेयर किए हैं, बट उन्होंने कभी किसी की प्रॉब्लम ऐसा सॉल्व करूं मैं तुम्हारी प्रॉब्लम उसमें अपना टाइम नहीं डाला, बिकॉज उनकी लाइफ का गोल कुछ और है कंप्लीटली। मैं तुम्हारी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करूं एंड उसमें वो घुस गए। ऐसा ऑलमोस्ट कोई भी एक्सपीरियंस मुझे याद तो नहीं आ रहा है, क्योंकि इसमें बहुत स्ट्रांग वाला कोई एक आध कोई होगा, बट मोर और लेस ऐसे ऑब्जर्वेशनल एक्सपीरियंस रहे हैं कि ऑब्जर्वेशन वाले हैं। मैं यहाँ गया, इनसे ये सीखा, ऐसे एनवायरनमेंट में रहते थे, ये सिखाया, वो किया, ये सिद्धि है, ऐसा है। ऑब्जर्वेशन स्टफ है, मतलब बहुत अलग तरीके की इंस्पिरेशन है इसमें। My master's photograph. I committed a breach of trust with my master when I met in September 1939. Two photographs from France who Two photographers from France who had traveled to the Himalayas to take pictures. I wanted them to take a picture of my master. I had a few rupees in my pocket, which I gave to the photographers and borrowed 150 more to get the amount they wanted. Then I led them over a narrow wooden bridge across the Ganges to a small hut where my master and I had been staying for 15 days. When my master saw the photographers, he looked at me and said, "You are a bad boy. Why must you be so obstinate? They will have nothing." I didn't understand. Sometimes I stubbornly thought my master was my property. The photographers each took a roll of pictures with their separate cameras, inserting two new rolls. They asked me to sit next to my master so they could take some pictures of the two of us together. This time, my master sealed his lips and closed his eye. In all, four rolls of picture were taken with two separate cameras from 3 o'clock to 5:30 in the afternoon. After taking a few more pictures of the mountains, the photographers left for Delhi. When my pictures were developed and returned, I could not believe the results. Everything around where my master had been sitting appeared in the pictures, but my master's image did not appear at all. वाह, ये बिल्कुल वही वाली कहानी है जो कि लहरी मास्टर की पिक्चर लेने के लिए जब कोई आया था ना, ही से उनकी भी फोटोग्राफ ले नहीं पाया था एक्चुअली बिना उनकी परमिशन के. On 3 or 4 other occasions, I attempted to get a picture of my master, but he always said a picture of the mortal body might obstruct your vision of the light within me. You should not be attached to my mortal body. Be aware of our divine link. Later, before I started traveling abroad in Europe and then in Japan, he told me, "I don't want you to sell me in the Western market." I have respected his feelings and I have never made any attempt to make a reprint of the only photograph of my master in existence. My brother disciple got this one photograph from a cameraman of Srinagar who had taken it with a box camera. It is possible for a yogi to put a veil between himself and the camera. See, it is possible for a yogi to put a veil between himself and the camera so that he does not appear in the photograph. But for some reason, on that one occasion, my master did not do so. तो इनकी भी कोई एक फोटोग्राफ है जो कि एग्जिस्टेंस में है, जो कि हमको नहीं पता कि कौन सी वाली फोटोग्राफ है एक्चुअली. इंटरेस्टिंग नो. मतलब ये कि अगर आपको अपनी फोटोग्राफ क्लिक नहीं नहीं कर पाने तो यू कैन पुट अ वेल, एक पर्दा डाल सकते हो एंड दैट विल नॉट क्लिक योर पिक्चर, व्हिच इज अमेजिंग नो. इवन टू थिंक अबाउट इट इज अमेजिंग. आगे चलते हैं. हु कैन किल द इटर्नल? Once in the mountains, a landslide started rumbling towards us. I cried, "We are going to die." My master said, "Who can kill the eternal?" I said, "The mountain is coming down, and you say, who can kill the eternal? Look at the mountain." He shouted, "Stop, let us cross." मतलब उन्होंने लैंडस्लाइड को देख के बोला, "Stop and let us cross." And the landslide stopped. Then we passed that place, and he said, "Now you can fall down." And the landslide continued. That's amazing. On another occasion, some people were following him when he was going toward a mountain. It started snowing and it snowed constantly for 3 hours. The people did not have enough clothing, so they said, "Sir, you are considered to be eternal. It is said that you have miraculous powers. Why do you not stop the snow?" He said, "It's easy." Then he said in a loud voice, "Stop and let the sun shine." And it happened. The power of will force is very little known among modern men. There are three channels of power. One is called Kriya Shakti, other is called Ichha Shakti, third is called Gnana Shakti. Kriya Shakti is, the power in, I think, in action, if I'm not wrong. Ichha Shakti is the power of the desire. I am not sure, but Ichha sounds like that. And Gnana Shakti is power of knowledge. Let's see. Shakti is that force which manifests itself through these three channels. This power may be either latent or active. With the help of Kriya Shakti, we do our actions. Which इच्छा शक्ति we will to act, मतलब इच्छा मतलब डिजायर, तो स्ट्रॉन्ग डिजायर जो होती है वो विल का फॉर्म लेती है ना, वी विल टू एक्ट, इच्छा शक्ति. एंड विद ज्ञान शक्ति वी डिसाइड टू एक्ट. That's great. One can cultivate one or other aspects of this force. Some yogis learn to perform their actions skillfully and become successful in the world. Others develop their willpower and direct their speech and actions in accord with their will. Some sharpen their buddhi, the faculty of discrimination or discernment, right? And attain a state of prajna, a unified state of tranquility. The discipline undertaken differs according to the aspect of Shakti which is being developed. Though discipline is necessary in each case, developing Ichha Shakti strengthens willpower, and with the help of willpower, one can have command over the phenomenal world exactly as one has command over his limbs. It was through this willpower that my master was able to control the forces of nature. Amazing, no? Ichha Shakti. Wow. Power of desire. Ichha, I think, is also will in this case. It's not just a desire, it's actually will. Interesting. So, क्रिया शक्ति जो होता है उससे हम अपने एक्शंस करते हैं. इच्छा शक्ति से विल टू एक्ट डेवलप होता है. ज्ञान शक्ति से डिसीजन टू एक्शन डेवलप होती है. गुड 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 गुड. Half here, half there. Once I was staying with my master in a shrine on a bank of the Ganges River. We were at Karnaprayag. My master wears almost no clothing because he is hardly aware of his physical self. He's always in inner joy. Suddenly at night, he said, "Let's go now." It was dark and it had been raining outside for some time. I thought if I say no, he will start walking anyways. He will just go like a lord with nothing on. So I put a blanket over him, hooked it with a thorn, and started to walk with him. It was bitterly cold. After going barefoot for half a mile, my whole body was freezing. I was wearing very little, but only one woolen blanket. I wondered, what shall I do? After we had walked for about 2 miles, we came to a crossroad and I asked, "Do you know which way to go from here?" He said, "This way." But I turned him around and said, "No, no, this is the way." So we reversed directions and returned to the very place from which we had set out. It was dark, and he did not know where he was. I said, "Now we have to stay here." He said, "Okay." I took off my blanket, laid it out, and he sat down near the fire. In the morning, he opened his eyes and started giggling. He said, "We walked in all night and you're still in the same place? How is it possible?" I said, "I tricked you." He said, "Why?" I said, "It was freezing and you were not aware of it." He used to enjoy such experiences. In the high state of ecstasy, he was often oblivious to the mundane things of the world. But when he became aware of them, he would enjoy them like a joyous child. At another time, I had a very strange experience with my master. It was a sunny June day in the forest near Varanasi, where the temperature goes up to 114 degrees Fahrenheit, I'm hoping. Since the day was very warm, I asked my master, "Will you take a bath?" He said, "Okay." Often you will come across wells in India when you travel from one city to another. If you want to take a bath, go find someone nearby who has a bucket and a rope. Then you can draw water from the well, take a bath, and go on. We came upon such a well. So I asked, "Please sit down and wait. I'll go and get a bucket and a rope." When I returned, he was not there. I shouted for him and heard someone answering from the bottom of the well, which was about 60 feet deep. He had jumped in and was playing in the water. Normally, if someone jumped from 60 feet, he would be injured. But in a high state of ecstasy, one is a child of nature and is protected. It became a problem for me because he wouldn't come out. I could not coax him out, so I asked some people from the village to help. Three people came and we threw down a basket with a rope tied to it. I shouted, "Sit in the basket and we will pull you up." He answered, "Leave me alone. Take me, let me take my bath." He was enjoying himself. Then they tied me with a rope and lowered me down into the well. I said, "Come on." But he said, "Let me take my bath." He was still playing there. Swami Rama at Karnaprayag. I told him, "It's been 1 hour now. You have had enough bath." He said, "Have I?" "Yes." Finally, after a long time, I convinced him to come out. Every day he would take a bath, but his mind would be somewhere else. I would say, "Now you've taken your bath, come out." He lived most of the time there in a constant state of bliss, and a very little of the time here, conscious of the mundane world. Wow, it's cool, man. How a young widow was rescued. Once in a desert village of Rajasthan, 50 miles west of Pilani, there lived a landlord who had only one son. Just after his wedding ceremony, this boy of a high died of a high fever. So लैंडलॉर्ड का एक ही बच्चा था, वो हाई फीवर से मर गया. शादी वाले दिन, ठीक है. His poor young widow, who was very beautiful, had hardly 17 years of age, was not able to enjoy her honeymoon. In certain communities, the law is once married, married forever, and widows cannot remarry. This system was changed by a movement called Arya Samaj. The founder of this movement was Swami Dayanand Saraswati, who was a great leader of socio religious reform. This young girl preferred to lead a holy life and lived in a room which was on the second story of her father in law's brick building. In her room, there were two pictures. Besides these, the girl had only one blanket, which she used as a mattress, and another to protect herself from the cold. There was a window in the back of that room and the door made of strong, thick wood in the front. One night, three fully armed men came to rob that house. Their intention was to rape and kidnap this young widow. They locked all the members of the family in one room and wanted to break into her room. When she discovered this, she said, praying, "Gurudev, I am pure, save me, protect me. Where are your protective arms? What has happened to you?" Suddenly, an old white-haired man with with a beard appeared on camel's back near the rear window. He said, "Come with me, my child, otherwise you are in danger. You will be raped by them and you will be disgraced and finally commit suicide." The robbers were very disappointed when they found after breaking down the door that there was no one inside. The girl and her rescuer traveled all night on the camel and before sunrise arrived safely at her father's house, which was 65 miles away. I visited this village in 1951 and heard the story from that very woman who was known for her purity and spirituality. After narrating her story, she asked me many questions about my master. Her father was known to us. He had a divine link with our tradition. Through our conversation, I discovered that the two pictures the girl had in her room were of Mirabai and of my master. इनके मास्टर के जो केवल एक ही मिष्टी श्रीनगर वाली, ये इनके पास कहाँ से आ गई? Her whole family worshipped this picture, which my brother, disciple, had given to her father after he had completed a journey from the Himalayas. The face of her rescuer was the same as the one in her photograph. It was my master. I wanted to see my master's picture, and I liked it so much that I took it from her with the promise that I would send her a copy of it. But for many reasons, I could not do so. This is the only picture of my master in existence. There is no doubt in my mind and heart as to the truth of this experience. How it happened, however, I have no way to explain. By telling this story, I do not want to build a guru cult, but want to make you aware that the ways of the master are very mysterious, and that they help their students from any corner of the world, even from the other side of the world. Physical presence is not always necessary for the teacher to help, guide, and protect his student. Nice. My master saves a drowning man. A learned man from Rajasthan once came to my ashram at Uttarkashi. He was a well-known pandit. He was on a pilgrimage to Gangotri in the Himalayas. He was then about 70 years of age. One day, he wanted to take a dip in the holy Ganges river, but did not know how to swim. तो राजस्थान से एक आदमी आया, गंगोत्री जा रहा था हिमालयस में, 70 साल का था, गंगा में नहाना चाहता था, पर उसको नहाना मतलब उसको स्विम करना नहीं आता था. The river was just a short distance from my ashram. He saw that monkeys on the other bank of the river were jumping into the water, diving, and coming up. So he thought, if monkeys can dive in and swim, why can't I? An educated man. Thereupon he jumped into the water and started drowning. One of my companions saw him drowning and began shouting. I rushed out and asked, "What happened?" He replied, "That man is drowning." I rushed to the river. I was worried. I thought, is someone going to be killed in front of my ashram? When I got there, the old man was sitting on the bank, gasping for air. Bank matlab nadi kinare. When he caught his breath, I asked him what had happened. He said, I was taken by the currents. Then how did you get out? I asked. He said, a Swami pulled me out. I asked him, who was it, Swami? And he gave an exact description of my master. I had only one picture of my master and never showed it to anyone, but in this case, I wanted to verify whether it was indeed my master who had pulled him out. So I showed that picture to him. He said, yes, that's the man. After I had gone under 3 times, I went down to the bottom and started inhaling water. I thought, if this is the holy place, see, kya bola? Yes, that's the man. After I had gone under 3 times, I went down to the bottom and started inhaling water. I thought, if this is the holy place, somebody will help me. And then suddenly someone pulled me out of the water, and he is the very one. I told him, you were hallucinating. He said, no, I have so much faith now that I must find this man and stay with him. I shall never go back home. I asked, what will your family say? He said, my children are grown up. I'm going to the Himalayas. And he left. My Gurudev sent word to him on the way not to come until he was better prepared. Now he lives some 12 miles away from our monastery, where he spends his time in meditation. When I left for the West, he was still waiting to see my master. He says, the day I'm prepared, I'll go and see him. Good story, no? वेरी गुड स्टोरी. देखिए, कभी कभी ना एक बहुत ही अच्छा सा एक्सपीरियंस आके आपकी लाइफ को पूरी तरह से चेंज कर देता है. एक्चुअली सिंपल सा एक्सपीरियंस होगा, या किसी ने कुछ बोला होगा, या एनीथिंग लाइक दैट, बट कुछ ऐसा होगा कि मतलब आपका पर्सपेक्टिव चीजों को लेके कंप्लीटली ऑल्टर हो जाएगा, या फिर बहुत स्ट्रांगली रीइंफोर्स हो जाएगा. बहुत तरह तरह की चीजें होती है लाइफ में. इसका मतलब है कि गुरु नोज कि आपको क्या एक्सपीरियंस देना चाहिए, बिकॉज गुरु नोज द वेरी यू. क्या आपको एक्सपीरियंस देना चाहिए जिससे कि आप पूरी तरह से ट्रांसफॉर्म हो जाओ. द गुरु नोज द बेस्ट. शक्तिपथ, बेस्टोइंग ब्लिस. I was occupied with the desire to experience samadhi. My master had told me, unless you sit completely still for 4 hours, you will never realize samadhi. So I practiced sitting from childhood on. More than anything else, my time was spent sitting to experience samadhi, but I failed to attain it. After studying many books, I became a teacher, but I felt that it was no good to impart second-hand or indirect knowledge. It would be better to teach philosophy in the university and elsewhere than to teach monks in the monastery in this way. I thought this is not right. I am not realized. I only teach what I have studied through books, and today I have learned from teachers rather than what I've experienced. So one day I said to my master, today I'm going to give you an ultimatum. He said, what is that? Either you give me samadhi or I will commit suicide. I was really determined. He said, are you sure? Yes. Then he calmly said, my dear boy, go right ahead. I never expected him to say that. I had expected him to say, wait for 10 or 15 days. He had never been rude to me, but that day he was very rude. He said, going to sleep at night does not solve your problems. You will have to face them the next day. Wow, this is amazing. मतलब है कि अगर तुमने ये जिंदगी खत्म भी कर दी तो भी जो है तुम्हारी प्रॉब्लम्स खत्म नहीं होंगी, वो अगले इनcarnation में दोबारा फेस करनी पड़ेंगी. In the same way, committing suicide will not solve your real problem either. You will have to face them in your next life. You have studied the ancient scriptures and you understand these things. Yet you are talking about committing suicide. But if you really want to go, but if you really want to, go ahead. I always used to hear about Shakti Pat. Shakti means energy, Pat means bestowing. Shakti Pat means bestowing the energy, lighting the lamp. I said, you have not done Shakti Pat for me. So it means either you don't have the Shakti or you don't intend to do it. For so long, I've been closing my eyes in meditation and I end up with nothing but a headache. My time has been a waste and I find little joy in life. He didn't say anything, so I continued. I worked hard and sincerely. You said it would take 14 years. This is my 17th year of practice, and whatever you have asked me to do, I have done. He said, are you sure? Are you really following the practices I've taught you? Is this a fruit of my teaching that you're committing suicide? Then he asked, when do you want to commit suicide? I said, right now. I'm talking to you before I commit suicide. You are no longer my master now. I give up everything. I'm of no use to the world. I am of no use to you. I got up to go to the Ganges to drown myself in the river. The river was quite near. He said, you know how to swim, so when you jump in the Ganges, naturally you will start swimming. You'd better find some way that you will start drowning and not come up. Perhaps you should tie some weight to yourself. He was teasing me. I said, what has happened to you? You used to love me so much. Then I said, now I'm going. Thank you. I went to the Ganges with a rope and tied some big rocks to myself. Finally, when he noticed that I was indeed serious and was ready to jump, he called and said, wait, sit down there, and in 1 minute I'll give you samadhi. I did not know if he really meant it, but I thought I can at least wait for a minute to see. I sat down in my meditation posture and he came and touched me on my forehead. I remained in that position for 9 hours and did not have a single worldly thought. The experience was indescribable. When I returned to normal consciousness, I thought it was still 9 o'clock in the morning. For samadhi annihilates time. I begged, sir, please forgive me. Please forgive me. The first thing that I lost with that touch was fear. That I also found that I was no longer selfish. See, this is amazing. The first thing that I lost with that touch was fear. and also found that I was no longer selfish. My life was transformed. After that, I started understanding life properly. Later, I questioned my master. I asked, was it my effort or your effort? He replied, grace. What does grace mean? People think that by the grace of God alone they will be enlightened. That is not the case. What my master said, a human being should make all possible sincere efforts. When he has become exhausted and then cries out in despair in the highest state of devotional emotion, he will attain ecstasy. That is the grace of God. See, इसको दोबारा पढ़ते हैं एक बार. A human being should make all possible sincere efforts. When he will become exhausted, मतलब efforts लगा लगा के जब वो इंसान exhaust हो जाएगा, and then cries out in despair, in the highest state of devotional emotion, he will attain ecstasy. This is the grace of God. Grace is the fruit that you receive from your faithful and sincere efforts. I now realize that Shaktipat is only possible with a disciple who has gone through a long period of discipline, austerity, and spiritual practices. Shaktipat on a mass scale seems suspicious to me. It is true that when the disciple is ready, the master appears and gives the appropriate initiation. When a student has done his sadhana with all faithfulness, truthfulness, and sincerity, when the subtlest obstacle is removed by the master, the experience of enlightenment comes from the sincere effort of both master and disciple. Let us put it in different words. When you have done your duty skillfully and wholeheartedly, you reap the fruits of gracefully. Grace dawns when action ends. Shaktipat is the grace of God through the master. I eagerly anticipate the times when I can be alone at night and can sit in meditation and experience that state. Nothing else ever approaches being so enjoyable. So I think we'll wind the session up right now. Thank you. We had a really good session, by the way. Yeah? We learned a lot about grace of master and a lot of other things. I'm hoping this is inspiring for all of you. That we will, I think it's very good to look forward to. And yeah, let's see each other on next Saturday. Let's do a closing prayer. To the Supreme God, Divine Father, Divine Mother, thank you for your great blessings. Thank you to our great spiritual teacher, to all the great spiritual teachers, to all the great gods and goddesses, to all the great ones. We very, very humbly thank you for your great blessings. We thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope these stories really inspire you and they help you to do your practices better. I hope आपके ना ये पढ़ के आपको stories पढ़ के गुरुज में आपके जो spiritual teachers हैं उनमें 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 ज़्यादा faith हो जाए. आप टीचिंग्स को और स्ट्रांगली प्रैक्टिस करना शुरू करें, ज़्यादा स्किलफुली, ज़्यादा विलिंगली. एंड आई होप आपकी लाइफ उस तरीके से चेंज होता है जो आपके लिए बेहतरीन है. एंड दैट्स आई थिंक ये बुक अगले 3 सेशन में खत्म हो जाएगी मोस्ट लाइकली. सो या डोंट मिस सेशन. ओके. लॉर्ड्स प्रेयर आमतौर पे दोपहर वाले स्टडी में होता है, इसमें नहीं होता. एंड आज आई थिंक एक फैमिली कमिटमेंट है तो मैं शायद दोपहर वाला मैं नहीं ले पाऊंगा आज. So yeah, see you, all of you. Bye. God bless all of you. Bye.